can't believe I'm making this video, but it needs to be made at this point. It really does. The title's not clickbait. It's not an attempt to get people upset. It's not an attempt to get you to watch this video. It's not an attempt to do anything other than inform people how far things have come in my short adult life. Let's take a quick time machine. Let's go back to 2010, right? When, social medias were much simpler, when things were more picture orientated. Videos were not really a form of normal video media in any sense outside of YouTube. And if you were a person like myself that wanted to deep dive, you would go to places like 4chan or Reddit or iFunny, if anybody remembers iFunny at all. The reason I'm bringing this up, and again, I think iFunny and stuff still exists. I don't know. I haven't used it in a very long time. Is because if you're an old conspiracy theorist like myself, and not really the part of the video that's important, then you've seen these terms used before, and you've seen the terms used. You just either don't remember or you've bought into the bullshit as well. These terms are woke and based. These terms should have no political meaning. These terms should not be something in which people can simply use without understanding the backdrop. And that backdrop comes from, and I'm going to take credit for this as well as anybody in the community that's ever come from, the original part of it where conspiracy theorists are not popular. I used to get made fun of by my friends all the time if I brought up anything. It's fun that the popularity has risen around conspiracy theories and looking into them, but the way it's been drugged is really, really stupid. Not the point. Moving on. What actually defines as woke and based? And if your immediate answer is something political, something contrived, something insulting, you are wrong and you are mentally handicapped. And you've done it to either yourself or the things around you have done it to you. The original terms, woke meant awake, and based was a terminology meant for someone who won their endeavor by standing their ground. So if you went to court for something and someone was trying to slander you or some other fact, and you stood your ground and you won your endeavor, you were based. Some of the early, as an example, sovereign citizen arguments in certain rural communities where these things are much more prevalent than if you're a normal city citizen. I'm not going to get into what sovereignty or any of that means. I'm just simply saying that some of the early videos that you can find still on YouTube that are from way back when, of a man, or I think there's might be one of a woman, but they're usually men that go into court and argue sovereignty, and then because the judge either agrees with them or just doesn't want to deal with it, they give what it is to them. That would be, you've won your endeavor, so you are based. Now, that one might not be as surprising to people, and that's why I started with that one, because the based part doesn't really elicit an emotional response, but woke does. And that is why it's so important people understand and ignore the chaos behind you. It's been a long day. I'm trying to clean up. Yeah. Woke is a term that meant awake. It meant that if there was something going on, something sinister or otherwise just hidden, just, hey, by the way, there are in fact things that are hidden that might not be sinister, but, you don't have to hide it from the public. Hmm? You know, if you found these things out, you could use the term that you are now woke or awake. We used to use this as woke to the matrix. If you come from the community I've come from the 2010 and just previous and then prior after, that you would know these terms from how they were used originally, when they were originally used as simply a term to describe someone who was usually in the conspiracy theory community, by the way, that had figured out something. Upon figuring that something out, that person was now awake. And you would be, what we originally used, if I'm correct, was the original terminology was woke to the matrix. You have awakened to the manipulation and the dichotomy and the extreme dogmas of current society. Let's say your local pizza company is let's give a harmless example so no one turns this into some super negative video, right? I'm already droning on enough, and I want to get to the part where it's about Asmongold. And it's not a bad thing, by the way. So if you've gotten to this point, it shouldn't get any worse. So let's say your pizza company is using old cheese, like cheese that's gone way molded, and they go in there every Friday night and they scrape together whatever they can, and you as a worker have started to tell people that this is what you do. Like when KFC puts back their stuff. Now, again, I worked in restaurants, so just to cover that topic really quickly, if you're at the end of the night and you've just lined that 30 minutes prior to closing, you can more than likely put it back without it being actually a public health safety problem. But that's neither here nor there. There are plenty of places that do that, and they shouldn't do it because it's been way longer than that. If you went around telling people, now again, these terms I must stress originated, if I am absolutely correct, I'm willing to die on this hill, originated from the conspiracy theory communities. So back then it wouldn't just be over cheese being molded. While that is in fact a bad thing, it's not something like, but regardless, moving on, you tell people, and you, this, maybe it's a small rural town, and now everybody knows that your local Domino's is putting moldy cheese pizza on the pizza, but they've been getting away with it. So the town would then be what you would call and consider woke to the concept of this illicit business practice. So how does this tie into Asmongold? Okay, well, I'm not going to touch too much on his political takes when it's outside of gaming politics. I'm not saying this to make anybody calmer or trying to escape any hatred. I just don't think that, while he has had some, I'm not necessarily talking about his political takes. What I'm talking about are his, well, they're political takes, but they're gaming political takes. It's gaming politics. And as long as you're around him when it comes to gaming politics or just life politics, that isn't really, I'm not using this as in the sense of politics. I'm using it in its euphemistic sense, then he has some pretty open eyed takes. And I'm going to be honest, as someone who used to hate him, not for the reasons you think. To touch on that really quickly, I did not used to care for Asmongold, okay? But I didn't care for him because I am an old wowhead. If the beard and my twirly mustache does not illuminate you to that, I am an old dark elf hunter. Night elf hunter, sorry. So, me and him are on opposite sides of how we even play WoW. Okay, he is more like Henry VIII. He has multiple people there to wipe his booty, but he's good at what he does. He is good at what he does. I'm the guy that would get, and again, it's not. It's just because it's the way I play the game. Okay, I'm the guy that would join the guilds, help out. Would give away my inventories. Had no problem grinding my own money. And again, so if you ever watched his videos, it just when he grew up, my brother was really into him too, so I was kind of jealous, but that's neither here nor there. Not into like his practice and his play style. My brother's like a very min-maxed WoW player. Like, oh, and my brother is not the person you think. He looks way better than I do, but he is a min-maxer. He does not play WoW without min-maxing. There's no other WoW to him. So when Asmongold started to do well, actually, as Asmongold began to play more of the more current WoW, I myself also became more interested. But as he moved over to his lifestyle takes, and I've had this conversation with other people as well, I really do mean that we are all incredibly shocked with how open, honest, and actually down to earth and for the people he is. I'm not saying that I agree with him downright. There are oftentimes I don't. Oftentimes. I mean, I'm a Cali native and he's a tech, so there are going to be, even in conservative senses, there are going to just be differences of opinion. We kind of otherwise, value wise, I think all line up, so that's why even for me on the other side, can do something like this without all the emotional responses that everybody seems to give these days. That I have to say that I am incredibly surprised that he has gone the way he has gone. So I want to say really quickly, just to cover that concept, I used to be a pre 2018 Hassan follower, and that's not my attempt to drag him, but 2018 is when, in my opinion, liberalism became extremist and did this whole if you question anything, you are in fact a hateful person, spiteful, and you just want everybody to live unhappy lives, which is just so not true. And for what it's worth, I think the minute you can't question something is the second you have a problem. So before this video gets any longer, I think you know the point I'm trying to make. If you followed him, especially when it comes to gaming, especially when it comes to the consumer, especially when it comes to how we as the consumer should be protected, how we as the consumer should. It doesn't, you don't even have to talk about any of the other hot topic, buzzword, bullshit, nonsensical things that come along with what people think woke and base come from, because when it comes down to it, the new woke community is more of the now conservative community than it was the liberal community I came from. Not to say, for what it's worth, conspiracy theory communities have always been fairly mixed up until the last few years, where everybody had a lot of time during COVID, and all of a sudden, conspiracy theories are super popular, right? So, point being, this is not clickbait nor rage bait. It's to illuminate people to the fact that the dichotomies and the extremist dogmas on both sides matter not when it comes to the attempt to awaken yourself to what is going on, or the attempt to stand your ground and win the endeavors that you desire to forward and further your life and its pursuit of happiness. And that is truly, truly, truly why I stand on this hill, maybe alone, and I have no problem dying on it, that I think Asmongold is the new woke sphere and the new realm of actual awakening, not necessarily because of him, but because of how he indulges information and how he proceeds to give that information back to the people. Thank you for watching, and if you did enjoy this video in any sense, you can comment, you can drag me, you can hate me, you can make fun of my forehead, you can call me bald or not, but you can make fun of me, please. Otherwise, if you see this, just saying, no hate, not an attempt to drag you, nor is it an attempt to really clout chase. I'm not going to make anything off this. I'm a nobody. And see ya.